So on the military level, we're killing innocent people, and on the financial situation, we're robbing people blind. And both of them, you know, whether it's Bush or Obama, they all should be brought up for high treason.
Let's talk about that. That really is the solution. Just the emperor is wearing no clothes. Hey, you're criminals. You're the ones that did it. Stop grandstanding. Stop your carbon taxes. Stop all your bull. Gerald Celente, trendsresearch.com, is our guest. We're going to cover a lot more of what he sees coming up in the near future and solutions on the other side of this quick break. And I'm going to cover the Constitutional Terrorist Manual. Trendsresearch.com, trendsresearch.com. That's Gerald Celente's invaluable website. You can go there and subscribe to his insightful and very valuable reports. He also consults to many Fortune 500 companies. Yeah, they're not going to catch the Midnight Rider, folks. The Obama deception is going to drop a little bit early because the vultures, the carrion crows, are circling. We got to get the jump on them. But it's very, very serious times. Tyranny is in our face. Gerald Celente, you know, isn't that the weakness of these tyrants, though, is that they are so classically corrupt, so classically tyrannical, so classically, obviously criminal, bankrupt degenerates who are the enemies of all free people everywhere in the free market?
It is, you know, I began my career, just as a little background, I ran the mayoral campaign in Yonkers, New York in 1971 at a graduate school. And from there, I worked in Westchester County politics. And they sent me up to Albany. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. And that's when I became I just started to despise politics, because I saw that the only way you could get up to the top is suck your way up to the top. I'd be hanging around the Senate chamber with my pal, you know, chit-chatting about this or that. I was a young guy. And a senator would walk in, and my buddy would leave me to go pull out the chair to help the senator sit down. You know, to watch grown men grovel is a disgusting spectacle. And if the people only knew what a con game all this is, they would overthrow this government in a heartbeat. All of them. These people are paper thin for the very reasons that you elaborated. No, all they are, they're just, it's staging. They're confidence men. It's a con game. And once people understand that, they won't buy into the con. But for some reason, you know, people keep drinking the Kool-Aid. And it amazes me. I mean, I have loads of friends that are, you know, these screaming liberals. And when you point out, hey, you know, Obama just increased the military budget by 4%. Oh, they don't want to hear that. Oh, Obama's sending 17,000 troops to Afghanistan, and with another, 30,000 on schedule. They don't want to hear that. So people, you know, people are living like children, and they only want to believe what they want to believe, and they stick their heads in the sand to the rest. So I just think the whole problem comes down to is that people have lost their dignity and self-respect.
Well, that's it. They've bought into delusions and lies, just like it's always the poor, ignorant, hard-working fools that you see lined up on Friday with their paycheck with, like, hungry kids with snot all over them in their car. You know, you walk in, you see the snot-covered kids in the broke-down car, and Dad's in there buying lottery tickets, buying scratch-offs, and you want to tell them, buddy, it's a scam, don't do it. They're like, I'm going to win next time. And they're like, get out of here, Mac, you know. And you can't even buy some milk because the poor people are all lined up buying the lottery tickets, and you see them buy right back into Obama as he betrays them. And at first it was, he'll end the war, he'll stop the warrantless wiretapping, he won't hire lobbyists. And now they attack me and email me and say, so what? That's how he's got to get things done. Because they've bought in that they got a seat at the table, that they're living big, you know, through Obama. It's like a 5-year-old watching a superhero cartoon and imagining jumping over the couch with pillows, you know, that they're Superman. That's fine for a 5-year-old. But living through Obama, that you're a Superman and he's a Superman, when Newsweek and others say, confidence man, and they go, oh, it's good he's a confidence man. You need to buy into the hype. That will save you. They're openly saying buy into the fraud. I mean, this is a high level of PSYOP, isn't it, Gerald Celente?
Well, it is definitely it's a con game, as we're saying, and again, though, there's really no magic behind any of this. It's so transparent, but the people are afraid to see it. There's no, we know who's behind the curtain. Look at the people that he has around him. I mean, I just read this whole big thing on this guy Axelrod in the New York Times. I mean, these people are. I mean. They're nothings, they're just blowhards, and the people buy into it and they bow. And as I said, until people regain their self-respect and dignity, we're not going to have the changes that we really need in this government. And people really have to stand up first by starting at the local level. And stopping these stupid taxes that they keep pushing down our throats. That's the beginning of it. And
that's happening. You predicted that when you first came on with us 3 months ago. You'd written about it a year ago. Now, on time, tax revolts for state income tax, local taxes, carbon taxes, income taxes, these Tea Party rebellions with tens of thousands in some cities are just going wild right now.
And that's just the beginning. And that's the hopeful sign. Alex, when you hit people in their pocketbook, all of a sudden they start to take notice. And that can be the genesis of this next revolution. And by the way, as your film crew knows, we're right off the most historic corners in the United States, the only place on each corner.
It's gorgeous. I envy where you are at, just beautiful area of New York.
And it was the seat of the revolution. And I have to tell you, I want to be part of that revolution, and I'm doing everything that I can, and we're all doing here at the Trends Research Institute, the whole team, everything that we can to make this revolution happen. I mean, I was not raised, and my parents didn't put all this work into me to be dictated by a bunch of clowns, congressional clowns. I mean, I love this language that they always use. We need a bipartisan consensus to push through these packages. Bipartisan? Who are they talking about? Pelosi, Reid, Bonner, Shelby, McConnell, Frank, Dodd? As I say, how about Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello?
Hey, Gerald, tell us, because you really, your roots are in your family, and anybody who's got their head screwed on straight, that's what it's all about. We are standing on the shoulders of those that busted their butts and sacrificed and had such dignity, and just looking at the photos of your family and your parents and your Aunt Zizzy and everybody, I can just feel that love of your family, and that's why you're willing to sacrifice now for others, because you understand that's what it is to be human. What would your mother, your father, your aunt think of seeing the things that are happening now?
Oh, they'd be heartbroken because, my grandfather, I remember my Aunt Zizzy telling me, your grandfather, an Italian immigrant, he was so proud to be part of this country that he was the first person online on election day. All dressed up and proud that he had the right to vote. Their hearts would break. Matter of fact, before my Aunt Zizzy passed on, our heart was already broken what happened to this country. You can see it. And I think my willingness to speak out and to maintain my dignity was instilled upon me by my mother. She couldn't stand cowards, and she couldn't stand politicians. So I was raised in the right way. I remember being a little boy, and a politician was campaigning in Yonkers, New York, in the old town part of the town in those days. And as he's talking, my mother, as I was pushing my little sister in the stroller, yelled out, "You're all a bunch of liars. You'll say anything to get elected." So I came from good stock.
Oh man, you're absolutely right. And people valued freedom because most people that came to this country, well, everybody that came, whether it was from England or Africa or China or Italy or Russia, they had come from tyranny and thugs and bureaucrats ruling over them and having to go hat in hand to be able to do anything. The elites trying to suppress society, destroy middle classes. They recognized tyranny, and I think we've just had it so good so long that we forgot that we have to fight for liberty, as Thomas Jefferson said, or you lose it. And now the greedy thieves are trying to take it all.
Well, the one thing that I would say, we haven't had it so good for so long. You know, it's like the frog in the frying pan. You know, they turn up the heat a little bit at a time, and that's what they've been doing. I mean, you know, to me, the last great president of this country was Eisenhower. You know, I mean, this is a man. Anybody that says Eisenhower was full of baloney, I would have loved to have seen them go up and say that to his face. You know, he warned us about the military-industrial complex. And then we got that I'm no crook Richard Nixon, and it declined since then. And they've been robbing us blind. You know, I remember when I first went to college, they had antitrust acts. You know, if you were a big company, you couldn't buy things cheaper than anybody else because you were buying them in quantity. So it allowed the mom and pops to stay into business.
Well, just to clarify, I mean, I agree with you that we have been having a lowering standard of living really since the 60s, with both the man and woman having to work, with the children being controlled by the state.